We have with us Sameer S. Somaya, CMD, Godavari Biorefinery. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Sir, wanted to know what is your expansion plan and what's the investment plan in the next 2 years?
So, we've just completed first an expansion in our ethanol capacity. We have just spent about 70 crore rupees, and we have expanded our ethanol capacity from 200,000 liters per day to 320,000 liters per day last year and 400,000 liters per day only this past month. So we have effectively doubled our daily capacity of ethanol. We want to see that growing. I think in the next couple of years, we would like to spend more money to further expanding our ethanol capacity, as well as entering into specialty chemicals based on ethanol. That's our goal.
Would you further elaborate on your expansion plans in the next 2 years on the specialty as well as ethanol capacity?
Well, we are a company. Our company name is Godavari Biorefineries. As biorefinery, we always think that agriculture resources can be converted into value-added products. Would they be food? Would it be biofuels, bioelectricity, or chemicals? And chemicals could be specialty chemicals or even commodity chemicals. Our idea in the next couple of years is to further expand our ethanol capacity. Currently, we hope, so 2 years ago, we did about 38 million liters into the ethanol program. In the coming year, we expect to deliver 70 million liters. And we would like to create ethanol capacity such that we can go to 100 million liters to deliver into the ethanol production and capacity. We also look at ethanol as a platform to make specialty chemicals. We are in the chemical space. We make chemicals that go into as pharma intermediates, agro intermediates, paints, coatings. So we've lined up a couple of new chemistries that we want to invest in going forward in the future. And so we expand our further footprint in specialty chemicals as well.
And these 100 million liters of ethanol that you plan to produce, will all this be used for ethanol blending, or this will be used for some other purpose also?
I would say 90% of probably what we produce will go into the ethanol blending. We also cater to different markets. We also cater to the pharmaceutical market. We also cater to the cosmetic market. We also cater to some of the potable market. We sell to customers in all these segments. So, there would be some amount of 10 to 15% of a production that would continue to cater to these customers of ours, which we have also had over the last many years.
With respect to revenues, you are around 2,000 odd crore company. So what is your expectation for FY 2021?
No, we are about 1,500 crore. We are anticipating a turnover about 1,500 crores in 2021. And we are transitioning. If you look at in the past, sugar used to be a larger percentage of our, shall I say, top line mix. Going forward, we anticipate that sugar, ethanol, and chemicals will be roughly equal, so 1/3 each. Sugar would be about 400 to 500 crores. Biofuels or ethanol would be about 400 to 500 crores, and chemicals would be around 500 crores. That's how we are, I will say, rebalancing our portfolio and then going to grow it more in the chemical and the ethanol space going forward.
Do you see ethanol moving ahead from the 1/3 that you talked about, say 3 years down the line or 4 years down the line?
I would say ethanol and chemicals moving ahead, say 3 years down the line. And I would see that the way I would look at it is ethanol. I would say ethanol and sugar may remain constant at that amount that we have. They may optionality between the two, and chemicals would further increase. This is the way we look at it. So ethanol would increase, but 3 years down the line, I would think chemicals going forward even more so.
So, sir, would you? I needed more info on the chemical part. So, what are the things that you would be doing which will help the chemical sector to grow from 1/3 that you are planning?
So, the way I look at it, as I mentioned to you, I look at sugarcane or agriculture as a great feedstock for, as I said, foods, fuels, and then specialities. And in specialities, we also think as, we look at the sugars or even the fibers as a source of chemicals. So going forward as a biorefinery, we would further see the use of ethanol also as, for chemical making, specialty chemicals, and bagasse also to be used for making specialty chemicals which go into the market. So in the current immediate, in the past 1 year and the coming year and a half, you will see that ethanol portion expand because that's where our focus has been. And post that, we would definitely see emphasis on chemistry and chemicals coming out of even bagasse and ethanol. 500 crores of chemicals already, and then we will see a greater emphasis on that going forward.
You have presently 2 factories, one in Karnataka and another in Ahmednagar, Maharashtra.
That's right.
So are you planning to also have new factories for the expansions that you are talking about?
Current aim is to do expansion in both these current locations. We think we have a very good base over there of infrastructure, people, and it's just easier to do a brownfield expansion right now. So this is how we are expecting to go forward from a logistics standpoint, from a human standpoint, from a human resource standpoint. This is where we will grow our business.
And are you looking at any capex expansion in terms of the next 2 years?
We would be looking at, those are currently under, I would say preparation, but we would definitely do a capex expansion, and they would look at expansions in ethanol and in chemistry, renewable chemistry that we're talking about.
Sir, wanted to know what's the market share that you have in ethanol blending, and how do you see the biorefinery policy of Government of India, and what would be the role of Godavari Biorefinery in this endeavor?
Well, firstly, I think the government policy in biofuels is very good. The previous policies used to look at molasses or ethanol as a byproduct of the sugar industry. The current policy makes ethanol and sugar as substitutes. And they give optionality to de-risk the business as well as to de-risk the farming sector. So I think the policy is very good. India has to look at its sugarcane surplus as an asset, and this policy recognizes it as such. So this surplus sugarcane with the policy will start converting to ethanol. And I believe in the next couple of years, you will see local ethanol meeting almost 20% of the gasoline needs or the petrol blending needs of the country. So I think the policy is very good. As a company, Godavari is actually diverting more than 40% of its sugar in cane to ethanol. So we have gone almost towards the Brazilian model, where companies in Brazil have an optionality towards almost to 50% of its sugars, where they can swing between sugar and ethanol. And I think this is what we have created in our company right now. You asked about market share. Market share, this is too big a market. So in the current coming year, I think more than 3 billion liters have been bid, and I think we will be around only 70 million liters. So market share actually is small, but what I would like to say is we have pioneered the use of sugarcane juice or syrup for ethanol. This is a new policy by the Government of India. Earlier it was molasses, and now they have also allowed sugarcane juice or syrup. And I would like to say that we have been one of the first few to pioneer the use of this to make ethanol. So in that sense, I think we have done a good job.
Sir, just for our understanding, wanted to know how big is this biorefinery blending market in India?
Currently, the government is, I think this coming year, we should be able to blend about 7-8% of gasoline or petrol with the ethanol. And the government wants to take it to 20%. So that's how big it is. And then, the nice thing about ethanol is it's a low carbon greenhouse gas or climate change mitigating fuel. And it drives the rural economy.
So in terms of rupees, how big this would be if it is 20%?
I don't have the number, but I think they are wanting about 300 crore liters, 3 billion liters. And if you count it at about 55 or 60 rupees a liter, I have not done the maths, how big that would be. 300 crore liters times, say, around 55 or 60. If you take that, that's how big the market is.
And where do you stand vis-a-vis other players in this particular market?
We would be one of the larger players. The issue is we have one ethanol-based facility, and this one ethanol-based facility is at a single point. I think we do 400,000 liters per day, and it's among the larger ones in the country. But there might be others who have 100,000 liters per day, and we might have 6 of them or 5 of them. So we are trying to. Our approach as a company is to go deep rather than to do a horizontal expansion. We want to make value out of that stick of cane. That is the way we want to go into a de-risking approach. Where
you are saying that single location, you are the largest in the country.
We would be among the largest. I don't like to make a statement of being the largest. I would like to make a statement we should be among the larger distilleries in the country.
I was looking at your strategy, and you talk about go beyond the ordinary. I think this is a wonderful forward that you have encompassed in your strategy. And with respect to that, you are working on next generation biogas-based biorefinery, as well as biotransformation of sugar into biopolymers. So if you can talk about these.
Well, I think going beyond the ordinary can also mean what we do today, which is a little ahead. So the first step is if we did ethanol-based, juice, sugarcane juice or syrup-based ethanol, right when the policy was announced, that is something unique, which will become common going ahead. We are doing chemistry from renewable resources, which is good. We're also thinking that it might be possible in the future to do 2G-based ethanol, which is cellulose-based ethanol. And going forward, we very clearly want to also do chemistry, as I said, based on fiber. We strongly believe in a world which is more circular in nature. And so when we want to make biomaterials or biochemicals, we feel that the economy, if you look at the global multinationals, they're making commitments towards buying from renewable resources. They're making commitments for a lower carbon footprint. In many ways, I think as Godavari Biorefineries, we are doing that already. We are, bulk of our raw material purchase is renewable. And so I think we are, in that sense, a bit ahead of the game in terms of what is good for the economy and the climate. Even in the farming, if I may talk a little bit on the farming, we work with our farmers to see if we can bring circular economy to them as well. We often learn from them. We see how, for example, if I teach my farmers intercropping, suppose they use soya with sugarcane before the sugarcane is tall enough. So in the first 4 months, you can probably harvest the soya. The farmer probably does not need to put the urea in the first installment. So what does the farmer get? He gets a lower carbon footprint on the soil. He also makes sure he has twin income, and the soil is also healthier going forward. So these are various ways in which we are looking at bringing a circular concept to the farmer, to the company itself. Every raw material. So now we are also thinking of extracting potash from the ash of our boilers. India imports a lot of its potash. Now, if we can effectively extract SOP from our ash, then again, you're creating a circular economy, which is in itself.
And with respect to R&D, sir, is it in-house or you have tie-up with R&D labs or education institutes?
It's a combination of both. We have a very good research lab in Navi Mumbai. And so we do a lot of our own research. We have lots of scientists. And at the same time, we don't think that we have the answers to everything. So we do tie up with educational institutions, with research labs. And so we think it's partnership and collaboration that can take us forward.
And any numbers to the R&D budget that you invest?
It's more than numbers. It's a lot of people. I think we might have more than 25 or 30 scientists working on that. And the numbers change year on year, but we are very active in research. I think it's a very strong focus point for us.
Like all what we can say chemical companies, you also have launched your own hand sanitizer product called Pavan.
Pavan.
So how has this done in the market, sir?
To be honest, in the beginning, it was very good, but we need to develop a much better B2C marketing capability. So the product is very good. We need to, as I say, to answer very honestly, we need to develop a better B2C marketing capability to succeed there.
On the sustainability part, sir, are you also looking at becoming net zero at some point of time? Because your products or your byproducts are more agri-based. So are you looking at that point and it would be easy for you to do that as you move forward.
So we are at the current point trying to measure what our current carbon footprint is. I think we are quite ahead already, but definitely our aim is to be very sustainable. I talked about sustainability even outside our ecosystem, which is the farming system, and sustainability within the company. So we will, in fact, we were one of the first in India to even get a $1 million grant to set up a cogeneration plant about 20 years ago. At that time, cogeneration from bagasse was not very commonly done in India. We got a grant from the USAID to demonstrate how greenhouse gas mitigating power plants could be done in the country. So I think our focus entirely is to be a renewable company with a low carbon footprint.
So anything specific that you are working on sustainability? So if you can talk about the different modules of sustainability that you are working to start with and later on then move to the bigger things.
No, so I talked about the whole emphasis on sustainable farming. That itself is a big focus. How do you make farming itself more sustainable? I talked about simple issues like extracting potash from ash. That itself also creates a more circular economy. It also creates a different sort of sustainability. India imports a lot of its SOP. The entire idea of making chemicals also from renewable resources is, I think sustainability in that sense is in our DNA.
I was looking at your CSR. You are very active on the education, healthcare, rural development with around 30 education institutes, 35,000 students, 1,300 faculty, 500 bed hospitals. So where do you see these things moving ahead in the new year?
Well, that actually is run separately as Somaiya Vidyavihar University. We think that education and healthcare are, engines of growth for any country. You need good healthcare and you need very good education. Our dream is to create world-class institutions of education, research, and service. And so we definitely want to create Indian role models which stand tall with the best in the world.
And you are also focusing on innovation and entrepreneurship at the grassroots level. So if you can talk on this particular front, since you are working with a large number of farmers, they definitely are looking at something which can also earn their livelihood and also sustain themselves through modern technologies which are coming in the farming sector. So where do you see the innovation and the entrepreneurship at the grassroots level?
No, I think at the farming level, we are looking at it in a different way. We are looking at firstly age-old practices. So there are some very good age-old sustainable practices that farmers themselves use. For example, they have products such as Panchagavya, which is 5 things coming from a cow. They have something called Jivamrut. And these concoctions that they make are very powerful things to improve yield of farming with a low carbon, low entry footprint. So we've learned a lot of these techniques from the farmers themselves. After learning these techniques, we've tried to combine them with modern technologies such as drip farming and also looking at various techniques of remote sensing, satellite imagery, and also what I said earlier, intercropping. If you combine these 3 things, sustainable agriculture input practices, modern technologies of measuring and reacting, whether it is through satellite, through imagery, and then you look at intercropping and drip farming to reduce water consumption, what we are seeing is that the yield of the sugarcane jumps by 50 to 60%. The input costs are reducing and the farmer gets twin income streams. So I think, and ultimately the soil is healthier for the future. So this is how we are looking at going forward.
Sir, one last question. You would be completing 85 years of your formation of your company. So how do you see in the 85th year, how do you see Godavari?
Well, firstly, 81 years, I think. We were founded in 1939.
So in 2025, you will become 85 years.
I would love to say we are ready for the future.